morning and welcome to your remote learning year 3. By the way, I had to add in that you are the best year group. Don't tell anyone, but you really are. I hope you're all okay. And today we're going to do our first English lesson, and it will be quite similar to what you're used to in the classroom. It's a little bit different, obviously, because it will be via video. But today you have me, Mrs. Marks, doing your English lesson, and I'll be doing it again tomorrow, and then you've got other teachers doing lots of other lessons throughout the week. Okay, so let's get started. You need your English book, a pencil and a ruler, please. So pause the video if you haven't got those ready and go and grab them now. So, can you please do the long date, the title and the wolf, underline neatly with a ruler. I'm not going to put the timer on, but if you could pause the video until you've written those, just as they're laid out here, remember right next to the red line, every other line, underline neatly with a ruler and then press play when you are ready. Okay, so our wolves for today. So that's what I'm looking for. So what I'm looking for, we'll be doing commas in a list. And for the bronze wolf, you'll answer questions that show that you understand where commas are, and that you'll be able to try to include them with 3 items, with lists including 3 items. The silver is the same, but you will be explaining a statement made out of commas in a list if it's correct or incorrect. And remember, when we're explaining, we use that word because. And you'll have lists that include up to 4 items. And the gold will be the same as the silver, but you will have lists that include groups of words, not just singular items. And the challenge today is to write your own sentences that include commas in a list, and then send, obviously, photos of your work to your teacher via Teams. So today we're looking at making links. You're going to make links with what you already know about your learning. And I want you to persevere. This is the first time that you have done a remote learning lesson at Carbeal, and so we want you just to try your best today. If you need to pause the video and have a little break, that's fine, but we just need you to try your best. So I'm going to model the bronze and then give the bronze questions or the bronze task, and then give the bronze answers. So you'll be pausing the video when you need to do the tasks. If you want to skip bronze and go straight to silver, that's absolutely fine, but I would always say to do silver before you do the gold activity. So for the bronze today, you'll have questions that are like this. And this question says, what punctuation marks can you see in the sentence below? So, reading the sentence, Julian likes dancing, watching television, and reading at the weekend. So what punctuation can you see? I can see 2 pieces of punctuation in that sentence, and we always have a piece of punctuation at the end of the sentence, so hopefully you've spotted it here. And it's the full stop at the end. But can you see any other punctuation in that sentence? Well done if you spotted it. It's this comma here. And it's separating dancing and watching television. Super. So if you were going to have this question in your book, you would write the sentence out, and then either with a purple pen or even just a normal pencil, you could underline or circle where the punctuation was to show that you understood what it was. So for the next question, it's asking us to tick the sentence that uses commas correctly. But I've written here that I'd like you to write them. So in your books, when you do the independent activity, not when I'm modelling it now, you'll write the sentence in your book that is correct. So rather than ticking it here, you write it in your book. So let's have a look at the first sentence. I went to the park with Ellie, Matt, Pete and Frank. And then we've got, I went to the park with Ellie, Matt, Pete and Frank. Now, if we have a look, I'm just going to get the pen so that I can show you what I'm looking at. I always have a look at the different items in a list to make sure the commas are in the correct place. So I went to the park with Ellie. So Ellie is one person I went to the park with. Matt is, oh, excuse my dishwasher, making lots of noise there. Hopefully you can still hear me. Matt is the other person I went to the park with. Pete is the 3rd person. And Frank is the 4th person. Okay, so those are the 4 people I went with. We've got Ellie, Matt, Pete and Frank. Now remember, when we're looking at commas in a list, The commas go in between all the items apart from the last two, and that is when we have the word and. So let's check this one. I went to the park with Ellie, and look, the comma's in the correct place. Yes. Matt, yes. Pete and Frank. So between the last two people, Pete and Frank, I've got the word and. So this one is correct. Now, obviously, I've just ticked that on the screen, but you would copy that sentence, that correct sentence, into your book, checking that you've got capital letters at the beginning, punctuation at the end, that you've put your commas in, and look, there's capital letters for all those names because they're proper nouns. So make sure you're including those as well and checking your spelling. Okay, let's have a look at the next one then. So we need flour, eggs, sugar, and icing for the cake. Now, have the commas here been used correctly? So let's have a look. We've got flour. That's one item that we need to make the icing for the cake. We've got eggs, and we've got sugar, and then we've got icing. Okay, so I've got my items here. This is item number 1, item number 2, item number 3, and item number 4. So have I got commas in between 1 and 2? Yes. Have I got commas in between 2 and 3? Yes, I have. Look, eggs, comma, sugar. And then between the last two, 3 and 4, have I got the word and? I have. So I would say in my book, if I was going to write the answer to this question, I would say, yes, they are correct. And that's all you need to do. Yes, they are correct. Or you can just write the word correct if you want to. Let's have a look at this last one now. Ron had butter, cheese, tomato, and ham on his sandwich. So we've got the item 1 is butter. And item 2 is cheese. And look at I'm trying to draw circles or ovals with my mouse and it's not looking very neat. And then I've got tomatoes. So we've got butter, cheese, tomato, and ham. No, that's item 4. So we've got Ron had butter and cheese. We've got a comma in between. Is that correct? Yes, in between item number 1 and item number 2. We've got item number 2 and 3, cheese and tomato. Have I got a comma between them? Yes. Then we've got item 3 and 4. Those are the last 2 items, and I've got an and in. So that's correct. Then it says here, on his, comma, sandwich. Now, do I need that comma there? It's not separating the items. The sandwich is not a separate item. Butter, cheese, tomato, and ham, all this are 4 separate items, and sandwich isn't. So I do not need that there. So you'd write incorrect. Okay. So here are your questions for the bronze independent task. So write these sentences into your book and then complete the task. So for question 1A, you're going to write out the sentence and then you're going to circle the comma in the sentences below in the sentence. And then you do the same for this question here, but it's asking you to circle the incorrect comma. So the comma that's in the incorrect place is not used correctly. So you'd write the sentence out and then circle the incorrect comma. Here, it's asking you to write the sentence that uses the comma correctly. So rather than ticking it, you'd write A or B into your book. And I'd like you to write out the whole sentence if you can, please, because you're just copying it. And the same for this question here. So it says write the sentence that includes a list. So whichever one here includes a list, that is the one that you would copy into your books. So pause the video now to do the bronze activity. And I'm going to skip on to the answers so you can self-mark. So when you have once you've done your 4 sentences in your book, you can grab a purple pen. If you don't have a purple pen, then you can just use your pencil. That's absolutely fine. But you will need to tick a small neat tick if you got it correct, and then a small dot if you got it wrong. And please remember that making mistakes is part of learning. So if you make mistakes, it's just the same as in school. It does not matter as long as you've tried your best. So pause the video to do bronze. Okay, and those are the bronze answers. So pause the video to mark. Okay, so now for silver, you're having a look at explaining more. So Leah thinks that one of the commas in the sentence below is incorrect. So let's read the sentence. James had sweets, so that's item number 1. Popcorn, that's item number 2. My goodness, he had lots at the cinema. Crisps, I don't think James wanted his tea, did he? And a drink, and that's item number 4. Okay, and those are the 4 things he had at the cinema. We've got a comma between sweets and pop. Oh, hang on a minute. James had, comma. Are we separating had and sweets? No, that comma is not supposed to be there. So what you would write is you would say, Leah is correct because the first comma should not be there. So do you agree? Yes or no? So yes, I do agree with Leah, and explain why, because the first comma is not separating 2 items in the list. Okay. And here's your independent task for silver. So you have 2 sentences here where you have to, the first one you have to explain if you agree or not, and the second one's asking you to complete the sentence below using all the words in this word bank. And so you'd write, my favourite foods are, use all the words here, and then check the sentence makes sense and that you've got your punctuation in the correct place. So pause for the silver activity now, please. Okay, and now you've got your third question for the silver activity. So pause the video to do this one. This is asking you to explain the mistake. So you're being like the teacher, explaining to this person what they've done incorrectly in this sentence. So pause the video and write your explanation, please. Okay, so we're just going to do a quick brain break now. I'd like you to go around your house, around your home, and find an item that begins with an A, an item that begins with a B, an item that begins with a C, an item that begins with a D, and an item that begins with an E. Tell your teacher what items you found via Teams for 10 team points. This is your brain break. Off you go. Pause the video and go and find them. Good luck. Well done if you found those items. So here are your answers to the silver questions. So pause the video to self-mark. Remember, a small tick if you get it correct, a small dot if you get it wrong, and not to worry if you do. Just make sure you send those pictures to your teacher so they can help you if they see that you're getting stuck on something. And the gold input now. So for the gold, it's asking us to complete the sentence below using all of the words in the word bank and check the sentence makes sense. So I washed the. Now would I put I washed the and bowls, plates, pots, pans? Why wouldn't I? So I'm going to try and write this sentence out. Just going to type it. I washed the. Let's go for the different items. Plates. Oh, Mrs. Marks. Plates. Comma. Next item, pots. Comma. Pans. And do I put comma? So I put in these 3. I put no. I put and bowls. Okay, and that was the sentence that I'd write in my book correctly for gold. And here are the gold independent task questions. So again, this first question is asking you if you agree and to explain using that word because. Here it's asking you to complete the sentences using all the words in the word bank and to check that your sentence makes sense and that you have your punctuation in the correct place. So can you pause the video for your gold independent task first 2 questions, please? Okay, we have our next question for gold. You've got to explain the mistakes in the sentence below. Using the word because as if you were a teacher explaining it to someone. And then there's a challenge. So the challenge is to write 4 of your own sentences that include at least 4 items, separating each item using commas or using a comma. Okay, so those are your gold and your challenge task. Pause the video. And your gold answers, year 3. So mark again, a small tick or a dot. And I just want to send a message to you to say that this is all very strange at the moment, and all your teachers expect in year 3 is for you to try your best. You're all absolutely brilliant. I hope that you've enjoyed your first English lesson, and I will see you again tomorrow. Have a lovely day.